Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Discard Dead, where we like to open boosters, boxes and decks of out-of-print trading card games. Today, we are going to do a rundown on how to play the Star Wars trading card game. Before we learn the game, let's take a look at the cards you'll come across and break down the information you'll find on them, using a unit card as an example. This is the card's name, with the type and subtypes below that. Here is what side the card belongs to, either the dark side or light side. Some cards are neutral and can be included in any deck. This is the build cost, or how many build counters must be on the card before it can be deployed or used. The speed number shows how fast a unit is. The higher the speed, the earlier it can attack. The power score tells how many dice you roll when making an attack with that unit. The higher the number means more dice and a higher chance to deal more damage. The health score shows how much damage the unit can sustain before it is discarded. This box describes any abilities and effects the card has. This is the version letter, which pertains to unique characters, which we'll go into a little later. This is the expansion symbol, showing which card the set belongs to, and the card number. Finally, the card's rarity, which is an icon that denotes whether the card is common, uncommon, or rare. There are three different types of unit cards: blue bordered space units, green bordered ground units, and purple bordered character units. These are your keys to success, so you'll need lots of them. Like most cards, they are built using build counters and can be deployed when there are enough on them. Battle cards represent actions and tactics used during battle. They have a red border and are played during the battle phase. Mission cards depict events and other happenings in the Star Wars universe. They are yellow bordered and are built during the build phase. Location cards are the spaces and places from the Star Wars universe. Like units, they are built during the build phase and are color-coded to certain arenas. Each arena can only keep one location card, however. As a side note, some locations have a brown border to tell that they can be deployed in numerous arenas. Equipment cards emulate the weapons and equipment found in the Star Wars universe, as well as modifications for vehicles and spaceships. They have silver borders and are built during the build phase. Equipment have equip costs, which are paid when attaching them to units or locations. Now that we've had a look at them, let's talk about putting them into a deck. Decks need 60 cards and cannot contain both light and dark side cards. You can, however, include neutral cards. You must have at least 12 of each unit type and no more than twice of one type as another. You could have 12 space, 12 ground, and 24 character units, but not 25 character units, since it is more than twice as many as any other type. Finally, you can have up to 4 copies of a single card with the same name and version. As mentioned earlier, the Star Wars TCG is played by battling over 3 separate arenas, but there are other important parts of your field. The deck zone is where your deck is placed and where you draw cards from. If your deck runs out, you can keep playing. Victory is only achieved when at least 2 zones are claimed at the end of the turn. The discard pile is for used mission and battle cards, defeated units, as well as other cards discarded from your hand. The build zone is where cards are built before being played. The space arena is where your space units, such as ships and destroyers, are deployed, and where space battles take place. The ground arena, similarly to the space arena, is where your ground units, such as tanks, speeders, and walkers, are deployed, and is the area for ground unit battles. Finally is the character area, where Jedi, Stormtroopers, Ewoks, and so on can duke it out, just like the space and ground arenas, but for character units. Decide with your opponent who will play the light side and who will play the dark side. Shuffle your deck and draw a hand of 7 cards. You can mulligan if you wish, discarding any battle, mission, location, and equipment cards, then drawing as many cards as you discarded. If both players mulligan, the dark side player acts first. Afterwards, players move to their initial setup. The dark side chooses a unit to put into an appropriate arena, ignoring any abilities, then draws a card to replace it. The light side may then put down as many units as they like, one by one, drawing to replace until their total build cost is higher than the dark side's total. The dark side, then the light side, repeats this process until both have up to 30 build points worth of units across all 3 arenas. If you can't or don't want to meet 30 points worth of units, you may select another unit in your hand to partially build instead. Show it to your opponent, put it face down in your build zone, and put a number of build counters on it equal to 30 minus your total. Now let's take a look at the 4 phases of a turn: the ready phase, command phase, battle phase, and the end phase. It's important to note that both players act during each phase. The dark side player untaps their units in the build zone and arenas, followed by the light side player. The dark side player adds 4 force to his or her force total, again followed by the light side player. The light side player then rolls a 6-sided die. Each player gets that many build points. If you have at least 1 unit in each arena, you get an additional build point. The dark side player draws a card. They can then build cards, deploy units, and complete missions. They may also send retreated units back into battle, move pilots, rearrange cards in a stack, and play abilities and battle cards with the words, "Play only during your build step." The light side player then draws a card. Then they can build cards, deploy units, complete missions, redeploy retreated units, move pilots, rearrange stacks, or play build step keyword cards and abilities. The dark side player then taps and retreats any units, followed by the light side player. This is where the action takes place. Space, ground, and character arenas are fought over in that order, resolving all combats before moving to the next. Before the space arena battle begins, however, players have a chance to play some battle cards. Beginning with the space arena, units may attack each other. Before each unit attacks, there is a chance for players to play battle cards. Untapped space units tap and attack each other in order from highest to lowest speed. If a unit is tied for speed, the dark side player goes first. When all remaining units are tapped, a battle moves on to the ground arena. Ground arena battles proceed exactly the same as the space arena, starting with chances to play battle cards, determining the highest speed and attacking in order, and ending when all remaining units are tapped. The character arena battles operate the same way as the space and ground arenas. Afterwards, the battle phase ends. Once an arena's battles finish, the arena is locked and no other battles may occur there until the next turn. If at the end of the turn a player controls at least 2 arenas, that is, to be the only player with units at an arena, that player wins the game. If not, continue with the next ready phase and continue play until a winner is decided. Now we're going to take a moment to have a look at the building, retreating, and attacking steps in a little more detail. To add units and locations to arenas, play equipment, or use a mission card, you have to build them. Select the card from your hand and put it face down into your build zone, then put at least 1 build counter on it. You must have at least as many build counters as the cost on a face down card in order to play it. Any less and it is partially built. You can spend more counters on future turns to complete them. While a card is face down, you may still look at it, and when you have enough build counters on a card, you can either move it to its arena if it is a unit or location, or use its effect and discard it if it is a mission card. If it is equipment, it stays in the build zone until you can equip it. During the retreat step, you may move any number of untapped units from their arena back to the build zone. From there, they cannot attack or be attacked, and all their abilities are ignored. You may return them to the arena during subsequent build phases. When a unit attacks, select a tapped or untapped unit your opponent controls, then tap your attacking unit. Roll dice equal to the unit's power, and each result of a 4, 5, or 6 scores 1 damage. A unit cannot take more damage than its health, otherwise it is destroyed and moved to the discard pile. Afterwards, find the next highest speed unit and continue attacking until all units are tapped or no units are left. These are the one-of-a-kind people, droids, ships, etc. Unique cards have a letter just right of its text box telling you the version of that card. You can only have one of a particular unique unit either in battle or retreated, no matter what version it is. If you do have two and they aren't in a stack, you must either discard the lower cost one or pay force equal to the difference in build costs and then decide which one to discard. You cannot deploy multiple copies of the same name and version unit card into an arena, but you can have a unit with the same name and different version if you stack it with another one. If the new unit card's build cost is less than the one already in an arena, stack it underneath. If the cost is at least as much as the current one, you may either stack it on top or beneath it. The stack's total build cost counts towards your overall total as much as the top card's cost plus 1 for each card beneath it. You can stack a unique card on top or beneath another version of the same unique card during your build phase. This lets you use more than one version of a unique card at once. Stacked units have the same name, type, speed, power, health, build cost, and text box as the top card. It also gets plus 10 speed, 1 health, and plus 1 power for each card beneath it. The total cost of a stack is the top card's build cost plus 1 for each card beneath it. When stacking different versions of a unique unit, if the new card's cost is less than or equal to the existing ones, you can deploy it with at least one build counter on it, either on top or beneath the current one. If the cost is higher, you can put one counter on it to put it beneath the existing one, or pay the difference plus 1 to put it on top. Changing the top card does not change how many damage counters are on it. During your build phase, you can spend counters to change the top card of the stack. If you wish to change to a lower costing card, you can put it on top for free. If the cost is higher, you must pay the difference in a single turn. If both players have a unique unit with the same name in battle at any time, the units are contested and must bid force to win. The dark side player starts the bidding of 0 or more, then the light side player makes their first force bid. You don't have to bid more than your opponent. Afterwards, bidding continues until neither player wishes to raise their bid, and players cannot bid more force than they have. A player's force bid is added to their unit's build cost. The higher total unit remains in battle, and the amount of force that was bid is paid. The losing bidder returns their unit to the build zone. This does not count as a retreat, and they do not need to pay any force. Hi everyone, thanks for sticking around to learn how to play the Star Wars TCG. Don't hesitate to like and subscribe for updates on future videos, and I'll see you all in the next video, and may the Force be with you.